welcome everyone. Good afternoon. This is Drake Baracus, Chair of the National Hellenic Society, and I'm here to welcome you to join us for a very special webinar we have today with our collaboration NHS Talk Stories with the National Hellenic Museum in Chicago, as we continue to record, preserve, and archive oral histories from not only individuals and families, but from churches and organizations. And we're blessed today to have three wonderful organizations that have been serving our Greek American community for quite a long time. Now, you know who they are, and I'll introduce them briefly. And it's a pleasure again to have them with us. Joining me will be my co-host, NHS Executive Director Art Demopoulos. Art, welcome.
Nice to see you, Jerry.
First and foremost, to speak about the partnership we have with the Hellenic Museum, today is obviously very special and really brings greater significance to our partnership as a giant in our community, a man who is a central figure in both organizations, recently passed away last weekend, Dr. George Korkis. And so we'd like to kick off with just a very brief moment of silence for Dr. Korkis and the legacy that he's obviously created, not only for his family, which is obviously most critical and important, but for the Greek American community. So, great. Thank you very much. As I said, it's a pleasure, and ironically, we have three Massachusetts-based nonprofit educational organizations today that have been serving, again, our community for quite some time, and really as operating in Greece to educate and nurture the next generation of students. We'll hear from each one of them with regard to their role as an educational institution and how it plays in Greece and, more importantly, in the diaspora, as well as the impact they felt through the pandemic and COVID on the higher education in general, and their plans for the future, as well as the challenges that they currently face with the educational environment in Greece. So my pleasure to welcome the three of them. Again, three familiar gentlemen, organizations that have been serving us for quite some time. I'll begin first with college here in Athens, represented by Dr. Alexi Philippopoulos. The program was started in 1962, I believe, by your mother. Correct, Dr. Philippopoulos?
Correct.
Correct, Alexi. So as it was started as the first English-speaking study abroad program, and facilities are located in the Pankrati section of Athens, offers a very diversified curriculum, including experiential learning. And so, Alexi, we'd like to welcome you. Our next guest will be Dr. Panos Vlachos, the president of Anatolia College, also American College of Thessaloniki, based in Thessaloniki, Greece. It was actually started by American missionaries in 1886 in the Black Sea region, hence the name Anatolia, which is in current present-day Turkey. And they started off as an institution serving the Greek and Armenian population in the Anatolia region, starting off as a school, and now today pretty much running from K through college. Dr. Vlachos, welcome. And finally, a good friend, Dr. David Horner, American College of Greece. Again, also started by American missionaries in 1875 in Smyrna, today located in Agia Paraskevi section of Athens. The school started primarily as a primary secondary school for girls. Today it includes secondary, undergraduate, postgrad, as well as the Alba Business School in Athens. The school offers parallel studies to Greek public university students, as well as the number of students coming from the U.S. and abroad to attend their classes and so forth. So again, for the three of you, thank you very much. Welcome. Let me first turn it over to Alexi. You can tell us a little bit more about your organization, institution, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Drake and Art. It's a privilege to be communicating with the members of the National Hellenic Society. Let me just say a few words before I share a PowerPoint with you. A few words about the mission of CYA and its beginning. It's an American nonprofit educational institution that provides university-level programs to American college students on Hellenic studies and on a number of courses, a number of studies fields, but always connected with Greece. Its primary emphasis was in classical studies. Now, always our students are encouraged to take modern Greek as part of their study with us, and a good 70% of them do that. Study at CYA is for credit, so it's part of a student's college career and a student's college record. It was started a little bit over a decade after the Second World War, the end of the Second World War for Greece. And you know, the Second World War in Greece ended basically in 1949, 1950, because we had the Civil War and so on. And Greece was then the darling of the West. And as a result, there was a great deal of interest by American college students as well as their parents for study in Greece. And it was a good time for Greece, by the way, because that was a time of revival. We had the Seferis Nobel Prize, among other things, films about Greece. You remember, Never on Sunday, that was generating an interest in the country. And the presence of such luminaries as Jackie Kennedy coming to visit Onassis every summer and so on. This was, I'm just trying to put you in the atmosphere of the early 60s, which was the time of birth of this institution. Let me now share a PowerPoint which will tell the story a bit better than I can. Let me yeah, okay, a few words about our location. We are a city school, very much part of the city fabric, and we are positioned right next to the Athens Marble Stadium. As you can see on the left-hand corner, upper left-hand corner, the Marble Stadium where the first modern Olympics were held in 1896. It's on the right-hand side is the photograph of the building with the lights on the second floor. And this is the view from our windows of the academic center windows. Let me put it on the map exactly. You see the Marble Stadium. Right next to it is our academic center of 3 buildings now. And then over to the left-hand side, upper left-hand side, is the Acropolis. We have a great view of the Acropolis from our center. And to the right, of course, is Lycabettos Hill, which cannot be seen, but right in front of us, beyond the National Garden, is Syntagma Square, Constitution Square. That gives you an idea of where we are. As I said, established 1962, let's not go over this. The basic idea is that it was privileged in the first years to have a number of very important faculty who came and taught at CYA and were very much responsible for launching it in the academic world. You can see one of them pretending to be dead down here on the grass, and that's H.D.F. Quito, the famous Hellenist, H.D.F. Quito, who wrote the famous book, The Greeks, and then over their wives, and then over to the right is a man called A.R. Byrne, famous historian of ancient Greece. You see, the first students were 5. It started very modestly, then it grew to our present numbers of about 150 to 200 if we count the special programs that we have every semester. And the bottom line is that these students eventually become spiritual friends of this country. And that's the great contribution of CYA in Greece. Let me say that the courses are similar in style to what students are used to in the United States. The faculty are experts in their field. They are, about 90% of them are PhD holders. And central part of our study is that on-site classes, very many classes are held on-site in museums and archaeological sites and other sites of interest. Well, the academic program, as I said, many fields, a wide range of disciplines from ancient to contemporary. And here you can see the disciplines that are covered by our curriculum. And as I said, modern Greek language is central. Then there are every one of these, every course in these disciplines has some sort of a Greek angle to it. I mean, take a course in business, for example. Well, for us, it's business ethics, and it combines philosophical thought with business. Or take a course in international relations, for example. Well, Greece, of course, is in a very critical, strategic, geopolitically point on the map, and a lot has happened here, and a lot happens in terms of migrationary movements over the millennia, in terms of present day use of the space by pipelines and so on, plus all the tensions in our relations with our neighbor, and all that is studied by the courses that we offer international relations. This is just an example of how we approach academics at CYA. As I said, on-site teaching is very much part of what we do. You can see up top a practicum on archaeology. It's a dig. Students take part in a dig. This is actually a summer course which just started. It's been going on for many years on the island of Despotiko, which is near Antiparos, and Antiparos is off the island of Paros, where a marvelous ancient sanctuary has been uncovered, and our students go there and learn about archaeology practice. Many courses are held in museums, as the picture shows, or inside the sites. For example, here we have our professor of art and archaeology teaching inside the Parthenon. It's a privilege that we managed to enjoy, and with special permits that are issued to us. Not everybody can go into the Parthenon these days, but these students are awed, as you can see, by what they're seeing at this very important spot. Field study takes them all over Greece, from Crete in the fall semester to the Peloponnese. And when we say Peloponnese, we mean Corinth, Epidaurus, Mycenae, not in that order, Mycenae, Epidaurus, Nafplion, first capital of Greece, then on to Sparta, and from Sparta to Navarino, important site of a naval battle which launched the Greek independence. And then we go to Olympia, and from Olympia up to Delphi, and then on to Macedonia, where they visit such sites as the tomb of Philip, the father of Alexander the Great, with all the gold finds there. There's a bunch of extracurricular activities that take place, of course, like any university atmosphere has. There's a student conference where students learn to do research and present papers. There are workshops and seminars. Some of these seminars are in such things as legal terminology, or these are extras, I mean, outside the curriculum, or such things as hands-on experiences as marble carving, for example, which the students enjoy very much. And we encourage, and students want, volunteer work. And we have somebody assigned to doing just that, creating volunteer work opportunities with NGOs and other philanthropic organizations. or internships in museums, in think tanks, in even we have some students recently shadowing doctors. Even during the COVID period, we had a student shadow uh, somebody who was doing surgery at one of the big private hospitals in Athens. I don't want to go into what auxiliary services we have. Of course, every educational institution has these. But again, down to the bottom right, you can see that there's a virtual internship opportunity, and the pandemic has made that very popular because students could not travel, so we connected them with companies and other entities in Greece that needed interns virtually, but always with an academic support by one of our faculty who would observe what was going on and sort of make a final assessment of the student's experience. We're now also launching a gap program actually, which goes on for a semester for students that are not get ready to go to college. They want to spend a little time discovering themselves or discovering what they want to do. And we have a gap program now for high school students that are ready to go to college, but not yet in college. Although this is not a student, an institution with an endowment, we do finance from our budget scholarships to the tune of about $120,000 a year. So we calculate that since 2006, we've given out about $1.5 million in scholarship money to needy students. If just two words about how students live. They live in apartments. They learn how to live like Athenians, like urban citizens. They learn all the tricks of that, how to keep quiet at the time they have to be quiet, how to take the garbage out when they have to take the garbage out. In other words, they are not living in a dormitory. They are not, and we discourage that very strongly. They live in single occupancy or double occupancy rooms. During the pandemic, they were all in single rooms, but we didn't have that many students anyway, so we could afford that. The neighborhood, as Drake said, is Pankrati, an upcoming vibrant neighborhood right next to us. And all our apartments are about 10-minute walk from our academic center. Just a word about our alumni. We now can boast about 11,000 of them. And one thing about them is that they are very, very much attached to an institution. It was a very important time in their lives, the time they spent here. They considered it a transformative time in their lives. And we see it by the commitment they have now in Greek studies. We count about 300 of them have become now professors, active professors of Greek subjects in American universities or Canadian universities, and very many of them send us their own students now. So it's a great relationship. What are the challenges for the future? Well, we stay in line with what American academia is going through and what the mood is and what the demands are, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we are trying to diversify our student body. For this, of course, funds are needed for scholarships. we have a goal, which is we've purchased a townhouse, a very interesting townhouse, very near our academic center, which is going to become our new library. What we hope this new library to become part of the community, serving not just the needs of our students, but also the needs of other university students around town. So that of course will become a way for our students to mix with Greek students and achieve an immersion into Greek society. And as I said, we're trying to build an endowment. Not having gone very far with that, we want to use, of course, part of the proceeds to finance the study of Greek American students to attend CYA. I think that's a very important goal that we have. We don't really have a high number of Greek American students, and we were looking forward to increasing this percentage in our student body. Just a few concluding word that we are dedicated to fostering an engagement with Greece, which encourages all kinds of good things like cross-cultural sensitivity. Our ultimate goal is to have these students return home academically inspired and intellectually stimulated, and with a further commitment to the furtherance of international and intercultural understanding. That's all I had to say. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't keep you too long, and I'm open afterwards to your questions. Thank you.
Let me say it's a pleasure to be with colleagues in Greece and colleagues in the National Hellenic Society. We're thrilled with our partnership with the National Hellenic Society and Heritage Greece, and also thrilled to be part of the American higher education community in Greece. And these are good friends and good colleagues. It's a great pleasure to be with them. So I have just one slide that I want to share, which will form the basis of my introduction to our school, and I hope we can explore other things through questions afterwards. So the American College of Greece, as Drake said in his introduction, was founded in 1875. Women missionaries, courageous women missionaries from Boston, went to the biblical land of Smyrna and founded a school for girls. They served there for almost 50 years, and they were violently expelled in 1922 with the catastrophe in Smyrna. And that led, at the invitation of Prime Minister Venizelos, for their coming to Athens and to Greece, where we have been since 1923. We've grown from a small school of, I think, about the same size as CYA when it started, just a few girls. In Smyrna, we've grown now to be a school typically in the fall of the academic year of about 6,000 students. We have 3 education divisions: Pierce, which we consider our mothership. It's the origin of the school for girls, now co-educational. But that serves students grades 7 to 12 and an IB curriculum as well in the last 2 years. Then DeRee is our undergraduate and graduate arts and sciences unit. And then finally, the graduate business school is exclusively graduate business education. Our students come mainly from Greece. The second largest country represented is the United States, but in total, the student body comes from 78 countries. So quite international, but predominantly Greek. In terms of the distribution among our 3 divisions, or the 2 higher education and the secondary division, 75% of our enrollment, or about 4,500 students, are in higher education, and a little more than 1,500 are in Pierce, our secondary school. On an annual basis, because I think our main focus today is going to be on study abroad, on an annual basis, we serve over 1,000 students now coming to us every year for study abroad. And then we also send students. We think it's important to get our students out particularly our Greek students, out to experience other parts of the world. And we're sending now over 1,000 students on an annual basis for short-term and longer-term study experiences in various parts of the world, especially in the United States. The chart at the bottom left gives you a picture of just the inbound study abroad composition. If we look at the 5 years preceding COVID, COVID, of course, is a major disruptor to the ability for students to study abroad. But if we look between 2015 and 2019, in higher education, inbound study abroad, students coming to us, especially from the United States, we served nearly 4,000 students in that 5-year period. You see the distribution that the larger proportion of them come for a semester. About 30% of them come in one of our summer terms. And then about 30%, which would include our Heritage Greece students that have been coming for 10 years through the National Hellenic Society, come for a short-term experience. It may be a week, it may be 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Something that I find very interesting about our connection to the American higher education system is that sometimes I like to claim that we are a single institution in Greece that is supporting the entire American higher education system of 4,000 colleges and universities or thereabouts. But the reality is that we are now drawing students into study abroad from the United States, from the full spectrum of American institutions. The largest share of them come from what US News and World Report calls national universities. And in 2019, 26% of all of the national universities listed in US News and World Report sent students to the American College of Greece for study abroad. The next largest grouping is what US News and World Report classifies as regional universities. And then you see the national liberal arts colleges, the most prestigious liberal arts colleges, the regional liberal arts colleges, and even community colleges. About 18% of our study abroad students come from outside the United States, from universities around the world. But the majority, 82%, come from the US, and they come from this range of institutions. Alexis was talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And one of the ways we think about that in terms of study abroad is we're working hard to attract more community college students to come to Greece. This is the largest student population in the United States. I think it's about 10 million students in the community colleges of the US. By their nature, these tend to be more students of color, lower socioeconomic backgrounds. It's harder for them to do study abroad. But we're working with some community colleges on some model programs that we hope will open up pathways to serve a broader spectrum of students from the United States. But personally, as a huge fan of the United States higher education system, I'm thrilled that we are able to draw students from across the whole spectrum. We hope to widen that over the years. A couple of other things, and then I'll hopefully go back to Panos. Another thing that we have noticed most recently is more and more undergraduate and graduate students coming to us from the US for full degree programs, not just study abroad for a semester or a summer or even a year, but full degree programs. So in the fall of 2020, even in the pandemic, we had 75 students from the US doing full degree programs. It's not a lot out of 4,500 undergraduate and graduate students, but that number has grown by 70% since 2016. It is, in fact, the fastest growing segment within our student body. So this is another area where we see opportunity for growth and service to the US student and families. Finally, like Alexis, we're thinking about things beyond traditional study abroad. He was talking about bringing up their gap year program. We're intending in the academic year 2022-23 to bring up what we're calling a first year experience program. The idea here is to do study abroad as the first year of your college experience, and then perhaps take that experience, transfer the credits. The students in this program would earn 32 credits, about a quarter of a four-year curriculum in that first year, and they could transfer to any college or university, presumably in the world. Our credits are all transferable in that way. We're planning a great books-based curriculum, which we think, of course, makes sense given our location in Athens. We intend to do it in a cohort model that will allow the students to travel a good deal around Europe as well as throughout Greece and combine that with their study. And we haven't set the final tuition, room, and board price yet, but we're imagining that this is going to come in with a comprehensive cost of under $24,000 a year, which by US standards will be a tremendous value. So we're looking forward to attracting those students. We serve some of our university students now with these kinds of first-year students, and we're hoping to bring up this program in the academic year that follows the upcoming one. So that's a picture of what we do primarily in study abroad, and I look forward to exploring other aspects of the school through our questions or discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Horner. And let's conclude our round of introductions with Dr. Vlachos.
Let us hope. Can you hear me first of all?
Yes,
Fantastic.
excellent.
Let me also try to share my screen successfully this time. Let me try to provide a historical perspective of Anatolia College. As you can see, the college was actually founded in 1886. It operated in Merziphone, Turkey. We have a parallel history with ACG in Asia Minor. And this is the place actually where the school tried to serve Christians in the region, primarily Greeks and Armenians, but very soon it managed to attract also students from 12 different nationalities. It is a college. It had also a school of nursing and a theological seminary. It also had a high school for boys and girls. Very soon we managed to actually have 40 New England-style buildings. And so for the 35 years that we operated in Asia Minor, we actually experienced growth. We had the first school for the deaf in the region and an orphanage of 2,000 young students. So we really served the community there. And of course, as you know, in 1921, the war broke. And of course, we were ordered to move away from Asia Minor, and we accepted the invitation by Prime Minister Venizelos to move to Thessaloniki. We started with a very small facility, which we rented with 23 students, which were all refugees. We are actually a refugee school, and gradually we moved to, as you will see soon, the location, which is in the suburbs of Thessaloniki. We created our campus. This is our main building, Macedonia Hall, in 1934. And here we are. This is the modern school of Anatolia College. And let me show you a brief video just to give you an idea as to where we are. We are, as I said, in the northern suburb of Thessaloniki. We have a beautiful campus of 54 acres and 26 buildings. Despite the crisis in the last 10 years, we've done a lot to upgrade our facilities, to introduce new facilities. I'll say more than that. Primarily, I should say, as we see this brief video of our facilities, there are three, I think, terms that define Anatolia. And it's innovation, excellence, and inclusion. We have a very strong scholarship program. We are providing scholarships to a quarter, to 26% actually of our students. So it's a legacy program for us. I think it's very important for us to be able to serve students irrespective of financial means. We have a number of divisions. We are a bit unique. We start from pre-K and we go up to graduate school. And of course, continuing education. We have, as you can see, one elementary school. We have two high schools, an international baccalaureate program. We have an international school, an American international school that we recently integrated. So we attract students and we offer the American curriculum to students in the region. And of course, we have the tertiary division. I'll say more about this shortly. We also have a program which is quite well known in Greece. It's a program that serves, it's a gifted youth program that actually we managed to bring to Greece with the help of Stavros Niarchos Foundation and Johns Hopkins. We offer it now for the last 7 years, and we have served already thousands of students all over Greece. I should say that especially in this program, 50% of our students actually study on scholarship, and to attract students also from rural areas. We are very proud of this program. And as I said, we also have a lifelong learning center that is trying, as Thessaloniki now is the first, I think, steps in becoming an innovation center, international innovation center. Our lifelong learning center is offering programs, working together with businesses. We co-design courses. We actually cooperate with universities in the States to offer courses and programs in areas where Thessaloniki does not have the expertise. So we work very closely with businesses, and that's exactly what we presented yesterday in a conference, how our institution is trying to actually help Thessaloniki move forward with this very important goal. We do have an entrepreneurship hub, which we launched several years ago. We are working together with ACG. In part of that, we found funding from the Hellenic Initiative. So we try also to support the startup community in the region. Clearly, as I said, we serve all ages. And I think what is important to note is that ACT, our Tertiary Division, is actually a typical liberal arts college. It's a college that serves around 800 students annually. This is correct, 800 students at least in the fall semester, more students if we look at the head count. And we also were able to attract throughout the years. We started in 1997, bringing students from the States. We consider ourselves as a bridge between the United States and Greece, both an educational and a cultural bridge. So we started in 1997 to bring students to Greece. And the last 10 years, we've managed to bring close to 5,000 students in regular programs. I'll say more about other programs that we may have. We offer degrees in many areas, undergraduate areas, and of course, we have a series of graduate programs. I'll come back to what we do more about ACT in just a few minutes. What I want to say is that it's interesting to know that what we've heard from David and from Alexis, all three of our institutions, despite the 10-year crisis and despite the pandemic, are actually investing and growing. I think our institutions really set the tone that we can do things in Greece, and we are doing them. Anatolia is engaged in a major development program. We are actually going to introduce, and we have introduced already, a number of buildings and programs. We just recently completed the Anna Papageorgiou STEM Center that is now available to our students. We are actually introducing, and we have started building. In a few months, we have our new elementary school campus available to offer better services to students in the region. We are introducing new facilities to our international school, to Pinewood, so as to be able to make it possible to grow and attract students not only from our I would say, from Greece and the Balkan region, but also from the wider region. And we are also building new buildings for ACT as ACT is growing. We're doing many other things. We are just completed our new designs for doubling the capacity of our high school dorms, because there also we see growth as we serve through our scholarship program students from all over Greece. As I said, we are trying to bridge the two sides of the Atlantic. I think all three of our institutions presented today were doing these things successfully. And I think there is value. Often we hear the Minister of Education saying how much they value this. And of course, we work closely with the embassy in launching our programs. I said a few things about this. Let me repeat. We have a number of programs. We served in the last 10 years 5,000 students. We have 50 partner schools, but we get students from many universities. And of course, as you can see, we're an international school. 53 countries are being represented in our student body. We organize a number of activities and programs. when it comes to study abroad, we were the first one in Greece to actually bring what David said, first-year experienced students. We started back in 2008, bringing freshman students to Greece. The program started small with 50 students. As returning students did so well in the States, continuing with their studies, the program grew significantly. We now have 3 universities that are sending us freshman students, and so we get around 300 to 400 freshman students every year. At the same time, we offer regular study abroad programs, which is just individual students coming from universities or groups of students, small cohorts coming from universities. We offer faculty-led programs, as all other 2 institutions, of course, and we also, at least in the near past, we offered programs for Greek Americans. Mr. Tomaras from the foundation in Chicago supported us in actually bringing Greek Americans. We brought them for 3 weeks to Greece for 3 years. Unfortunately, Mr. Tomaras then passed away and the program had to be interrupted. But this was an amazing experience to bring Greek Americans here to Greece, spend 3 weeks immersing with the culture. So we really love this opportunity to have students coming for this reason to Greece. I should point out that we are clearly a community of students and members of our community that, as I said, focuses on offering something unique, not only to Greece, but also abroad. One of our main goals as we speak is to make our ACT, our Tertiary Division, more international. So as David mentioned, we're attracting degree-seeking students now from the States, which I think is very important, but we also started attracting degree-seeking students from Northern Europe, small numbers, but that's one of our aims, to make our Tertiary Division truly international. I'll stop here because I think we should have some time for discussion. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, gentlemen, for an incredible presentation. All 3 of your respective institutions bring so much tremendous value to Greece in so many ways. Western-style education, opportunities, and as honest brokers, job creation in the future. And yet, despite that, the government has been so slow and in many ways challenging to private institutions such as yourselves in reforming, making the necessary reforms. I mean, and I think in recent years, even choking you with, taxes and what have you, rather than embracing it and seeing these institutions as opportunity for all of Greece and for their institutions. Can you talk about the necessary, needed reforms from your perspectives, and what will it take, and how can we in the diaspora help facilitate and make those needed changes? David, I know you the longest, I know you've been preaching this for the longest time, so maybe you can lead it off.
Okay, although my colleagues are at least equally eloquent and passionate about the need for reform. So I think a lot of people are familiar with the famous Article 16 of the Greek Constitution developed in the mid-1970s, and I think that really is the impediment. The fact that Greece enshrined in its constitution a provision that envisions only public universities. And as a result of that, a whole mythology has grown up around private education in Greece and around public education in Greece. And Greece is really a monopoly public education system. And what that means is the public system really doesn't have to compete with it. There's nothing there to substantially compete with it. 97% of the students or so are in the public system. And that means it's not all that accountable to students and families. And so it's a system that's really the opposite of what you find in the American higher education system, the greatest characteristic of which is its diversity of institutions and the fact that students and families can choose, and government money supports, through financial aid, their ability to choose to go to whatever environment is really going to be best for them. It's a very tough challenge to get this. There have been small steps in the direction of more opening taking place. This government in particular is moving in that direction. But it's a long and a hard road, essentially because of the need for a constitutional change to really open up the system. And like all constitutional changes, those are very hard to come by in any democratic society. So it's a long-term. I wish there was a quick answer. I don't think there is. We fight this battle together on a daily basis, and we try to influence for constructive change. But it has hurt Greece, I think, significantly. And the country's only going to be helped the more it can open to more diversity, more autonomy for both public and private institutions.
And just to be clear, it's my understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the biggest employer in Greece is still the state. And my understanding is that wherever a degree is required for a state-filled job, that a degree from a private institution would not be recognized. Is that accurate?
No, that's actually an area where things have changed.
Good.
Now, we've had to jump through hoops to make the change. Both Anatolia and we have an affiliation with the Open University in the UK, formerly a European institution, now with Brexit no longer. But we made those affiliations about 10 years ago in order to open up for our students professional rights and the ability to serve, for example, in government positions. And so there has been progress there through sort of side doors. So it's not as closed a system as it used to be. That's one example of a change.
ACG, with David, what we try to persuade the government to do is actually introduce a different framework despite the presence of Article 16. In other words, what we want, given the quality of our programs, we would be more than willing to actually be evaluated, assessed in a much more, I would say, demanding framework. Because currently, as we operate as private colleges in Greece, the actual framework is quite relaxed, which means that institutions which are not of high quality may operate and even compete to some extent with us. What we propose to the government is to actually come up with a framework which asks for high quality, which is demanding, both when it comes to faculty credentials, when it comes to facilities, when it comes to financial standing, etc. And we hope, it's difficult with Greece to say that at some point they may be able to work around at least part of what Article 16 is bringing into the picture and give us an environment which is more a level playing field with public universities. What we often mention to the Ministry of Education is that Greece should become an international educational destination. ACG, College in Athens, and ACT are actually bringing, I would say, the large numbers of international students. What we would like to see, and we don't see this as a competition, we would like to see all of Greece be able to attract students as long as the government provides a framework that deals with visa issues and the other things that we've mentioned. So we hope that the government, it's a government that was responsive up to a point to certain things. For our high school, for example, divisions, now we have a framework which is a little more flexible, less restricted than before. So we are hopeful that in the coming years, we'll be able to see some change.
Thank you. Dr. Alexis, any comments?
Well, actually, Panos took all my lines. There is change in the educational area, but that's not yet in the tertiary level. It's mostly on the secondary level, and secondary level education and legislation that regulates the work of private schools like ours has been liberated to a great extent. Really, I think to the credit of the present Minister of Education, there's a change there. Where there is no change is the understanding of what Panos said, of the importance of study abroad in Greece. it is almost, there's ignorance. Let me put it that way. I mean, they do not, people, officials, and the public, they don't understand the great benefits that the country could have, both financially as well as in terms of soft power, by making Greece a center of international study, a center that attracts international students. For example, something like Cyprus, the example of Cyprus, which has been very successful in that respect. As I said, students who study in a country, they have a very soft spot for that country for their lives ever after, and this Greece is a benefit that it just lets go without taking advantage of it.
You're so right, Dr. Alexis, and we as an organization see that benefit. Obviously, we want to grow our program, and I refer you to the people doing it the best, our friends in the Jewish community, and what they've done through programs like their Birthright Excel program, which actually is a 6-month paid internship for U.S. students to be placed inside, companies based in Israel. I mean, it's a no-brainer, and Greece is, I think, is there's so much potential, as you all three know, and your passion comes through through your words. So my hat's off. And again, if as an organization with contacts here, if we can be of any help, or any of our other constituencies here in the diaspora, in Australia, the UK, elsewhere, call upon us. We're there. Great.
I'd like to also add that considering the programs that you offer, and the we've seen it at our organization, you see it at yours. It's just the high demand. Yet at the same time, within the Greek community, and I can only speak obviously here in the States, it's kind of surprising that more students, more young professionals don't take advantage of the opportunities. And, and I hear it from my own kids, and I think we all hear it from our own families. But it really, and I think you can all to attest to it, there's really no comparison to going to Greece on a trip or a family trip versus going to study or any type of immersion program. It's night and day. And so what would be, I guess, if you had the opportunity to pitch to the audience today of why, I don't care if you've been to Greece 1,000 times for family trips or summer excursions, the true difference, the impact that Alexi talked about going as a student, going with your peers and experience it that way. So let's start with Panos.
I believe that it's not the academic part which I think is of interest, because we all offer courses that can make them become more acquainted with the history of the political situation in Greece and the role of Greece in the area. But I think the most important of all is that these students will actually have, for the first time maybe in their life, the ability to really immerse society. They are forced to stay in a city and really feel. Both Athens and Thessaloniki are vibrant cities, lively cities. Only then I think we can really become acquainted with the culture, understand, how things are developing in the city. What is it that would make really a difference in their own understanding of Greece? So you are absolutely right. Only if you engage yourself in such a different level, I think, through all these mini experiences, either traveling all over the country on your own with peers, with students and teachers, or if you just have a chance to really get to know a city as a local. Only then I think you are able to better understand the culture and appreciate what Greece is all about. And all three of our institutions have the ability to do that, and I think that's important to know. To have experience so as to make this in a safe environment where people can really have the experience without having the risk.
Thank you, Panos. Alexi?
Art has said a couple of times tonight. What is it that you can do for us for this process. I think the National Hellenic Society could actually become a catalyst for a sort of an educational process by which Americans of Greek descent will become aware of the kind of opportunities that are these three schools that you have here tonight. I say tonight because it's tonight for us. These three schools offer to and could offer to American children of Greek background. It's a unique way for them to rediscover the roots, a unique way for them to learn the language as much as one can learn in a year. Of course, American College of Greece and Anatolia offer full 4-year programs. Ours is a year-long or semester program or summer program. But even with a semester, you can get a lot if you're somebody who needs to discover the country of your forefathers. So I don't know how you can do it, but perhaps we can think together and create some kind of a campaign to bring that message out to the Greek American community.
Thank you. Before I turn it over to David, obviously our biggest and most avid supporters are students, young professionals, or graduates of your programs, and explaining that experience and talking about, again, the difference of going as a 10-year-old with your family versus going as a 20-year-old abroad with your peers. So maybe I think that'd be part of the campaign of really getting folks. And all of you, I mean, obviously the proof is in the pudding. All of you have notable alumni that we could talk about all day long, a lot of which are NHS members. Lenny Tsakopoulos went to CYA. And so you all have a great track record, and I think that shouldn't get lost in the message. Dr. Horner, to wrap things up, anything else you'd want to add on that pitch of having more students come to Greece?
It occurs to me that the perspective I bring to this particular group of 4 colleagues is I think I represent the Philhellene. And I've tried through Ancestry.com to establish my Greek roots. I have not been successful, but I'm still after it. But emotionally and intellectually, I certainly feel very close to Greece. I studied Greek philosophy as an undergraduate, and in graduate school, it really formed me intellectually. And I continue to draw on those early studies. But I live on the campus, our main campus in the Paraskevi in the President's House. When I walk out the front door every morning, I look out over on the plain of Athens. And I've never gotten over the fact or the appreciation for it was from that venue that the Western intellectual tradition emerged, that American universities trace their roots back to. And for a student to come and to have this experience, whether it's in the center city with College here in Athens or in Thessaloniki, one of the great cities of Greece, to have the experience of this culture that produced what is so important in American culture, I just think, that's why I say it's the finest study abroad venue in the world that's associated with the United States, as far as I'm concerned. And it's just a great place for students to come. And one final thing. Our undergraduates here are a bit unusual in that we have over 1,000 students every year, not just coming for study abroad. We have over 1,000 students from every Greek public university. We were talking about the public system. Over 1,000 students, public university students, come and study with us, and we call it parallel study every year. So I tell people, if you want to find the most creative 21-year-old students in the country, come to Starbucks on our campus any day of the week, and you'll find students from the Polytechnic, the Law School of Athens, the Medical School of Athens. You'll find students from all around the world, and our full-time degree-seeking students. And it's a very, very rich mixture of students in a unique venue. So it offers much more than students pay for the experience. So everybody should be encouraged to consider it.
And based on the pictures and video that all three of you showed, you've got wonderful, tremendous assets and campuses. So kudos to the three of you for the role you've played, really bringing the diaspora closer to Greece, educating not only Greek students, but obviously more importantly, our students here in the diaspora. So thank you all. We appreciate your time and effort, and good night, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
An honor. Bye-bye.